Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to a brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to another brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Now in this video today I wanted to do a really deep dive onto what an R.I.P tour is, which is part of the experience of what Halloween Horror Nights is. So before I go into everything in detail and give you all the kind of just my experiences of doing it, I wanted to kind of give you a brief quick overview of what Halloween Horror Nights is, if you're unaware of it somehow or just unfamiliar with it or just don't know the details on it. So Halloween Horror Nights itself is a seasonal event. It goes on every single year, and it's actually in its 34th year in Orlando. I'm not sure about Hollywood for California, but it's every season, it's every year. It usually goes, again, from summertime and through fall. Now this year, for Orlando at least, it'll be starting August 29th and going through November 2nd of this year. I'm not sure what the dates are for Hollywood because I don't really follow that version of it, but I do want to go there eventually and do it because I've never been through that one. So for myself, I have been to Halloween Horror Nights this will be my 3rd year going, so I'm not a newbie anymore really, but I'm also not totally tenured to the experience. But I have done the R.I.P tour experience every single year I've gone. I'll explain why that is and that kind of situation as well. Now, before I get into detail about it too, I want to let you guys know that Halloween Horror Nights is a separately ticketed event, which means that it is not included in any annual pass besides the premier pass at all, and I'll explain that too. It is a separately ticketed event, which means that it is not part of a day ticket. So if you go on vacation and use probably like a ticket package, it is not part of that. You have to buy admission to Halloween Horror Nights separately, and then it's usually during the week, as far as because it runs 5 out of 7 days of the week usually through the time frame that it's open. So usually it's running from Tuesday nights through Sunday nights, and then depending on the day you choose, it's usually starting off around $80. That's what it was last year, $80 for the admission, and then it goes up, ranging on the day of the week you go as well, and the time of year you go. So for example, with that, in the situation of that, basically, let's say that you buy your ticket right when tickets go on sale, which is usually actually this month in April typically, like it was last year at least, when it was an April ticket release. So if you buy tickets right away, then usually they're at the cheapest levels for what they are. And then as the season goes on, meaning May, June, July, like before the actual event starts, then the tickets will go up in price steadily, or they'll even sell out, because this event does sell out. And the R.I.P tour does sell out, and I'll explain that too. But basically, it can sell out. It does every year to some aspect. And basically, the later you buy tickets, the more the price goes up. And even let's say that you buy a ticket later on in July, it'll definitely cost you more than if you would have bought it in May. It's just one of those things where it's just got that kind of pricing scale up too. All right, now for the case of the R.I.P tour, there's 2 different versions of it, and I'll explain how it's different from the normal admission too. So, and as well as express passes, because they're also different too. So the general Halloween Horror Nights ticket, again, starting at $80, usually going up in price. That again gives you admission only. It gives you guaranteed access to the houses, to the food, to the event, just everything in general. You get access to it, and it's only inside Universal Orlando. The Express Pass, which is a whole different thing, that's an addition. It's all an add-on. Everything is really add-ons for Halloween Horror Nights, which is, it's a good and a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But the Express Pass itself is going to be, it's the same kind of ticketing version as what the event ticket is for, essentially. So it'll start off at a price and it goes up the more you do it. And you can also buy passes and things like that for multiple days, and the whole, you can do even a pass for the entire 3.5-4 month experience of all the nights of Halloween Horror Nights too. That's a whole other thing as well. But basically the Express Pass itself is going to be, I believe there's 2 versions of it. And they kind of work the same way as normal day tickets for Express Pass, where you can buy the one where it gives you one access to each house, which means that you can go and use that Express Pass for each house one time. And I believe there is a unlimited version. I've never done Express Pass. I'm not totally sure about that, but usually I think there's both, because it's the same way for day tickets too. And then of course when you do the unlimited version, then it gives you also unlimited Express Pass to all the houses through the entire night for the day you choose it from, unless you buy a pass, which is going to be for the multiple days. But again, that's a whole nother video. Now, I will do another video separately from this that is focusing entirely on the event in general. I just wanted to do a video first on R.I.P tour, deep dive, because it's all I've done since I've started going to Halloween Horror Nights, and it's my experience of it that I think is pretty valuable from going for a couple years now. and it's probably what I'll do this year too. So I'll get into that now. So essentially the R.I.P. tour, and then there's two versions of it again, which I'll explain now. Basically, there's two parts of it. So there's either going to be or two different versions. So the one that I do is the group version, which means that if you buy the R.I.P. tour, which again it's another separate add-on. The one that I do it in the past couple of years has been around $400 to $450 for the evening as well. And that again also will work the same way as Express Pass pricing in a sense, because basically for me, I'm the kind of person where I like to go to Halloween Horror Nights, or I have in the past at least. I like to go when it's as close to Halloween as possible, which has its own pros and cons to that. But basically, because I love Halloween, so I do it. For one thing, it's because it's a lot less hot and humid out in Florida. It's still not great. It's still hot there no matter what, but it's a little bit easier to manage in October. So in the last couple of years, I've gone either the week of Halloween or on Halloween. So for example, last year I went on Halloween evening. So I went on the 30th of October, and you get a lanyard for part of it, which I'll explain this to in a minute. But this is the lanyard I got for last year, which is really, really rad. And you get to keep it, of course, and wear it. And you actually have to wear it through the whole experience. But that's what you get for buying it. It has the date on it, and then the barcode that does get scanned as well for that part too. But basically, the R.I.P. tour, from the beginning to end, essentially is again you buy it as a separate add-on for the night. It is a date-specific add-on too, so you have to choose what day you're going. So of course you'd buy it for the day you buy admission for the event on it too, I would assume. Basically, you get there, you get to Universal Orlando, and again, I have no idea what they have for Hollywood. I don't know if they even have one. But again, you buy it separately. You can buy it the day of too if it's not sold out, because these do sell out faster than Express Passes. No, I can't say that. I can't say that. They do sell out, but it's not usually at the same rate as Express Pass, because those are gone quick. But they do sell out. Long story short. So you buy them. I always buy mine in advance. As far as usually when the tickets go on sale, all this stuff goes on sale. So I usually buy mine the day I can, because they are not cheap. This one was about, I think it was like $450 USD. So it's not cheap, but for what you get with it, it's worth it to me. So I bought mine online, and then what you do is because for me, I go, or in the past I've gone, and I usually do around a 2 or 3 day trip to Universal Orlando. And during that time frame, I will usually go to Cabana Bay, just because it's one of the easier, or one of my favorite hotels there. And then I will check in there, and then I'll go to the ticketing desk, and they'll give me just the event ticket just for HHN, not this, because this is given out at the actual park itself on the day that you go. So I get my ticket for HHN at the hotel. Then on the evening, I will go usually around 3:30 or 4 p.m. and then I'll go to the to the right on the ticketing side, because there's actually a whole VIP area, like a sign for it that you go to, and then that's where you check in for it. And then from there, you'll get signed in. They give you this lanyard, essentially, which you are required to keep on. And I'll explain why in a few minutes here as well. But you get the lanyard, you put it on you for the night, and that's your pass, your ticket. Now, the cool thing about this lanyard, too, is that it does come with, for that night only, just for the night you have it on, or for that event, it does come with unlimited Express Pass built in for the night you go. So if you have some energy left over, because I will say that the R.I.P. tour is around 4 to 6 hours total at least. I've had mine sometimes last 6 or 7, depending on your tour guide and things like that. So it's not a short tour at all, and I'll explain why that as well in a minute. But you do have Express Pass included, so you can essentially, I should say, one of the best things about the R.I.P. tour is it's really on your own time from when you start it. So you do have to choose a time when you buy the actual ticket online to get admission into the park. So for me, I usually do like 7 or 8, and all that means is that you would then go in at 7 or 8 o'clock to I think it's Cafe La Bamba is the place where you go eat. So you get food included with it, and then you would go in there and get some snacks and some food. Now, again, I said there's 2 parts before, or 2 types of R.I.P. So there's one, which is the one I do, which is going to be the one where you would do in a public group. Usually the group is about 15 to 20 people, and you don't know who they are at all. Like, you literally get grouped up into people when you start your tour. Like, it's not like a thing where you can just like pick whoever you want to, nothing like that. Like, there's that version too. It costs a lot more. But the version that I do, which is a public group, again, usually 15 to 20 people, and you get that you get your group right before you start the tour, essentially, for the actual houses. And I'll go into that, and I'll go through my experience too. But basically, the other part of it, group-wise, is there is a private R.I.P. tour It's a whole different thing. That one costs, I believe, and again, it's all a range. But last year, I think it was starting off at like $2,500 to $2,500, and it went up as the year goes on. Again, as the season of HHN goes on, to become a lot more expensive. But you get to bring your own group. So if you have a group of like 15 or 20 people, I think it is, or at least around there, might be a little bit less. You can do a private R.I.P. tour, and then it would just be you and the tour director, the tour guide, and that's it. But that was a lot more expensive. But but you get your own thing. It's your own thing. It's the same type of tour essentially. Like you don't get anything better or worse between the two. But if you have a big group of people, like a family or just a work trip, whatever, if you want to do that, then you can do the private version and pay a lot more. But you get your own tour guide, same as the public one, but just it's private. So that's the difference. Again, you're paying a lot more for it. The whole entire private one for the group of itself is usually around $3,000 to $5,000 is one of the more pricier ones that I saw as well. So it's not cheap, but it's worth it if you have a big group of people, and you can split the cost. So think of it that way too. Now back to my experience. So again, you go in there, you get your lanyard, get checked in. Then again, you can always. The cool thing about it is you don't have to go right into a tour. Like you don't have to go right into the tour itself. You can hang out in a way if you went to in Universal Orlando in the park and walk around. Now for me, I think it can kind of ruin the experience of what you'll do anyways as far as the actual tour goes, because if you walk through all the scare areas, the scare zones essentially, before you're even on the tour, I feel like it kind of ruins what you're even seeing. Because the reason why I say that is because when you're on the actual tour itself, your tour guide is going to give you the backstory, the full story of every single scare zone that you're going through and what the whole entire theming of the event is for that year, which just makes it way worth it, and that's why it's my favorite thing to do. So I don't really like to do the whole walk around the park thing and look around. I don't know, at least not up front, just because you're already going to be, for one thing, walking at least 10 miles probably the entire night, because again, it's at least 4 to 6 hours of nonstop walking, and plus the houses, and then all the emotional ups and downs, if you will, of going through each house too, because it is an exhausting tour. It's fun, but it's a very exhausting, tiring thing at the same time. So I like to go and just relax a little bit and just get my kind of vibe for the night, and then you go to Cafe La Bamba, or at least I have in the past couple of years. You can get and then there's food in there that's free. It's included with your price that you paid, and then you kind of relax a little bit if you want to. And once you're done with that, then you walk across the street to their theater. And that's where you actually get grouped up. So essentially, that's where you'll go. And then a lot of times, at least in the last 2 years that I've done it, they literally have people waiting until more people come in and they're ready, because the tours are continuously leaving. So they'll have a tour guide kind of just hanging out there, just talking, and you'll get officially checked in that area with someone that is to have a laptop. Basically, you can get a pin if you want to, which I have my pins in my backpack, so I'm not going to show you, but you get a free pin for each year. It just has the year and then the theming for the year essentially on the pin. Those are free. And then you get that if you want it. And then you just give them your name that you checked in officially for the time that you're starting it. And then based on who was there for the group size, that's where you will kind of essentially get grouped up. So for me last year, I was literally I think I was number 20 of 20 for my groups. I literally finished off a group. And then in my first year I was one of the first 5 people, so we had to wait like up to half an hour around there for enough people to become part of the group. So once you get assigned a group in the public version like that, then you'll meet your tour guide essentially pretty fast. They'll just tell you their name and kind of get to know you a little teeny bit, and then they will kind of wait until the group fills up. Now, once that's all done, then you'll move it outside essentially, and that's where kind of the short little kind of small intros will be of the tour guide, basically giving you their history. They give you an overview of the night, of how it's going to go, because it is a little bit different every year based on how many houses there are, or scare zone things and just things like that. Just rules, just things that they have to tell you, just as far as like drinking, no photos, no videos, because you are not allowed to film at all at HHN in the houses. At least you can film as much as you want to, for the most part, for the scare zones. Like they encourage you to do that as long as you're respectful and don't use a ton of flash and don't like harass any of the scare actors, like dumb things like that. But as far as the actual houses go, you cannot film in them. You cannot do any photos or videos, nothing like that. Like if you do that, you'll get kicked out, and I've seen it happen too. So don't do that. But basically, they give you the rules and regulations of the tour itself, and they tell you how it's going to break down. And then just like it's pretty much there for if you've never done the tour before. And they will go one by one, where if you want to, give people your name because you are in a big group. give people your name, and then you can give them, your what house you're looking forward to the most, or your experience with HHN if you want to. Just things to loosen up the group a little bit, that kind of thing. So that's where that happens. Now from there, what they'll do is they will essentially start off the tour, essentially just giving you an idea of all the houses, of an overview, and then usually, almost again the 2 years I've done it's been the same. So usually they will then introduce you to the theming of the year for Halloween Horror Nights. So last year, which was 33, they went through the 2 types of theming, which was I believe it was fear and then pain. It was the mental anguishing, the mental, I forget the actual names of it. But it was the mental side, and there was the physical side. There was two different like of like stars of the year essentially for last year. So they gave that story right there, and then after they do that, then they will introduce you to the very first scare zone, because they kind of warm you up with the scare zone when you walk through that, and then that's where they encourage you, of course, to again take photos and videos and be respectful. But you can, like, you're allowed to hang out in the scare zone for enough time. Like, you have to still move through it because they're on a time scale or a time frame kind of thing, but you can still hang out and do videos and film it and stuff like that. So you go through your first scare zone and do that, and then they will usually knock out at least 2 or 3 houses pretty quickly. So for me last year, I didn't like it that way as far as like how quickly we did it, because for me, I knew, because I went again in October, and this is the reason why I don't like going close to Halloween. Like, it's a good and bad thing, because for me, in my experience, because this thing starts off so early in the year now, like again, August 29th is this year, by the time it gets around to October or end of October, to the end of the actual 3.5 month experience, essentially, it's kind of a thing where if I feel like you kind of almost become a little bit almost like desensitized to what's actually like, to what the actual event is like for the year. And what I mean by that is basically where you have seen it, because enough people have gone at that point, because it's almost over, like in October, where you'll see a lot of house reviews, not photos or video, but house reviews. You'll see a lot of ratings of people's favorite, least favorite things, and you'll see kind of like how the event of HHN has kind of run its course for the year, of like how it's been overall for an experience for people. And like last year was kind of a rougher thing, where there was a lot of, people that were going to the event that were young, I'll put it that way, and kind of being very, very rude to scare actors, which is incredibly stupid and sad. So it was kind of a rougher year for HHN, if you ask me. So, but the downside of it for me is that if you go in October, just be prepared. If you follow the social media aspect of it, you will get a lot of, I don't want to say spoilers, but kind of spoilers, like where you'll maybe accidentally see some things or some houses without intending to. And you have to really try hard, I'll put it that way, to try hard to not ruin the experience for yourself. So this year for year 34, I am going to go opening weekend. I'm going to go actually, because my family and I are going to do Epic Universe at the end of the summertime, which is when it starts. So I'm doing this thing this year where I'm going to go, I'm going to do R.I.P. tour again, because I'm only there for a few days. So that's kind of also my experience too, is that when I go to Halloween Horror Nights, I go by myself, and I go for 2 or 3 days, and that's it. I usually fly in, I do the R.I.P. tour, I stay at Cabana Bay, I go in there, I do it all in one day essentially, which it's a long day, but it's fun. Go in there, I do it for 1 day, and I'll fly home. It's all I need. It's plenty enough, it costs enough as it is, so that's my thing, and there's different ways for everyone to do it. If I was local, I'd probably go every single day, honestly, but that's just how I do it. So I would say the only downside of going in October is that it's towards the end of the season for it, so to speak, and it's just a lot of things kind of have been online for a while, because in the very beginning of Halloween Horror Nights, when it starts up, all the influencers or YouTubers are given access for 1 day, I believe it is, to go and do a walkthrough and film it, and then Universal uses that as a promotional thing on the internet, where they get posted with permission from them, so you can do a walkthrough and see what it's like. I never watched those because I don't want to ruin the experience, but it is kind of that is the rough part about going in October. So that's why this year I am going to try, or I am going in the first weekend, because I don't want to have that happen. I just want to see everything from scratch, from the beginning, and just when it's fresh. Now, last year, I will say this much, last year they did do a brand new, first time ever thing called Premium Scream Night, which was about the same price, I believe, as it was as the R.I.P. tours, but I think it was a little bit less. I think it was like $350, where I paid around $450 for my R.I.P. tour. But basically, they had a premium screen night, which was treated as a dress rehearsal, essentially, for HHN because it was before the actual event opened. I think it was like 3 or 4 days before the beginning night of it. And the entire selling point of it was that there was no crowds or low crowds. The food was included, like overall, like all the food for the most part was included. So you had little to no wait for anything. There was no express passes because you didn't need it. And it was one of those things where it was just really cool. And then from what I saw, it was, because I saw a lot of photos from people that went, a lot of YouTubers went, and it's a dead event. Like there was almost no one there. So I'm wondering for year 34 this year if they'll even do it again, because it was a first year time thing that they ever even did on for last year. So if they do that, I will try and go to that instead of doing the R.I.P. tour, because R.I.P. tour is just, it is expensive. It is worth it because you get to skip the lines, and I'll go through that in a minute. But it is a cool thing, but I would rather do a premium Scream night where there's no lines and that kind of thing. So just, again, we'll see if they actually do it or not this year. I'm not sure for year 34. But again, it was a separate thing by itself. Now, once you are essentially done with the actual, or should I say, once you get through the first scare zone, essentially, then again, that's usually when the tour guides will go and knock out at least 2 or 3 houses in a quick manner. Because again, there's usually 10 houses. This year, I've already heard there's going to be upwards of 15 to 20 or a lot more, essentially. And because of Epic Universe opening up and how much of a bigger audience they're going to have. So this is where it gets interesting, because the tricky part about Halloween Horror Nights, and I mean this in a good way, is that you are walking upwards or over 10 miles the entire night, because it is a lot of walking. You are walking multiple directions of things, like around people. It's a lot of walking. But the emotional ups and downs and your energy level is going to fluctuate so much, and it's hard to even explain what it feels like, because again, you are going through 10 houses, because that's the benefit of the R.I.P. tour, is that you are guaranteed instant access, and I'll go through that in a minute, of all the houses with no wait. So when I did it last year, or I should say all the years I've done it, that's cool. That's why I buy it, because I don't want to wait in any line. So because when you buy the event tickets, when you buy the HHN ticket, just as it is, you are guaranteed access to the event. What Express Pass does is Express Pass will give you a reduced wait time of that standby line. So let's say that, like last year, for example, Insidious was the house of the year, basically. So it had the longest wait time overall for the most part, maybe besides like Ghostbusters. But so the average wait was like 120 minutes. So if you had Express Pass for that night, then you could do, when you would go to that and use that pass, and Express Pass is designed to cut the wait time of the standby line by half. So if it's a 120-minute wait, it's right around an hour, hopefully, usually a little bit less. But it also depends on the date you go and then the time of year and all that stuff too. So the biggest benefit to me of the R.I.P. tour is that you don't have any waits at all. So yeah, the biggest benefit to me, in my opinion, is the no waits, no line part of the haunted houses. So what that means is, besides it sounding really obvious, that you will basically go to one of the houses, essentially, and then your tour guide will then stop you and put your group into a separate area. It's usually a little bit more quieter, essentially, in the park where you are. And essentially you will stay with them for a minute. They will then give you the entire history and backstory of the house you're about to go into. So that's one of my favorite things, is that I don't actually personally look up anything at all for the houses. So, because I will say this much: the houses of the 10 that there usually is, usually 5 of them or so are IP houses, so they are based off of a real movie that came out that past year, or it'll be a very trendy kind of horror thing that's been happening. So in the last couple of years, it's been the whole Megan series, and they had, last year it was, again, Insidious, and then there was also A Quiet Place. So those were the main IP houses, along with Ghostbusters from that movie coming out, the sequel. So those are the IP houses. So those you can just watch the movie and get the story on it basically from that, and that'll be those houses, or at least a version of it. But the cooler part is that the original Universal Monsters, or the original Universal Story houses, are, in my opinion, quite a bit better as far as like originality, because that's their own like storylines that they create. So what you'll do is, before you go into any house on the R.I.P. tour, your tour guide will pull you aside, and then they will basically give you the backstory, the history of whatever house you're going to go into, or the time frame of the movie that it's based on, whatever it might be. They'll give you all of that to kind of hype you up and get you ready for it. And then that's when you will then basically go into the house. There's zero wait. There's not even an express pass. There's zero wait when you're on an R.I.P. tour to go into the house. That's the biggest benefit, in my opinion, of having to buy that experience. Besides having the stories that they give you on the houses and things like that, is that you have zero wait, and it's only one time per house, but you have zero wait. So that's the biggest benefit. So you have zero wait. You literally get told the story of the house, and then you go right into the house and do the experience. Now, like I said before, the hard part about these tours, for me at least, and everyone's different, but for me at least, is that the emotionality of the houses kind of gets you after a while. And I don't mean like scariness in a way. I just mean like, because you are going, literally, you're walking again at least 10 miles or more for the entire event. It's at least 5 or 6 hours long. It's not short. And the emotionality of your energy level is going to keep on doing this, basically. Because again, you are walking a ton, you're sweating because it's Florida, it's hot out, it's so humid at night. And then you get explained the story. And then again, you are literally walking through the house and you get scared. And that's why we do it. That's why it's fun. But the hard thing about it, of doing it all in one shot like this, is that you are really you're going in, you're getting hyped up, your energy level is way, way up there. You do the house, you get scared, obviously you go through you get scared hopefully, and then you have that emotionality, and then you come out of the house, and then you kind of relax a little bit. And at least for me, when it comes to this event for Halloween Horror Nights, I mean, I love it, but it's just that the hard part of it for me is to always just getting through the night, not even for scariness, but because of the fact that once you're at, usually around, at least for me, around house 7 or 8, you really get tired. Because you're walking around, all that stuff. It's a lot of walking. You're on a long tour, and again, it's a lot of emotions because you're constantly going up and down from being relaxed to scared, and it's a lot of fun. Again, I'm not hitting on it at all, but it's a very long experience for that reason. So you have to remember that if you're doing all this in one day or one night for all these houses, it is possible, but it's extremely, extremely draining. And that's my only knock on it, as far as doing it all in one shot for a one-day thing, is that it's a very draining thing. So my only advice, I guess, if you want to even hear it that way, is that if you have the ability, and you're not local like I am, or not local like I am, where I live in the Midwest, so I go there once every year and that's it. If you have the ability to go maybe a few times during the season, I would definitely recommend breaking houses up a little bit, or breaking the experience up to a few houses, to do 3 or 4 houses at once, or in one evening, and doing them again and again and again. Because the biggest thing about HHN is that each time you go through each house, you will never get the same experience for scares. And each time you go through it as well, each house, you'll learn more and more about the story, even if you read it online, or get the tour guide like I did, to have them explain what the story is. It's just you notice different things each time you go through the house, just based on how detailed they are and the aesthetics of the actual house. So if you have the ability to do it more than once in a season, I recommend that, because that's going to give you more fulfillment from the experience. Because the hardest part for me every year is that I get exhausted by house 8 or 9 or 7 or 8 usually, and that's when I'm like, I still finish it, but it's just, I wish I had the enjoyment or the energy to make it through the entire night. It's just my pet peeve. It's just a hard thing to go through the entire night on those. All right, now once you are all done with all the haunted houses, and this will be kind of up to your tour guide a little bit too, because there is a show, I forget what it's called actually right now because I'm blinking, but there's a show every year that goes on, and it is an adult, like a mature show, I would say that much. Like it's not going to be like anything Disney, I'll put it that way. But there's a show you go to. It's included with your ticket as well, just for HHN. And the other benefit of doing the R.I.P. tour is that you do get prime seating for the show, for that as well. So you'll get led to it by your tour guide. They'll sit you down. It's usually like right in the middle. It's always in the lower seating for R.I.P. tours too, which is really cool too. And then you get that show, and then that's usually in most cases, at least the last 2 years that I've done the R.I.P. tour, that's where the tour has ended. And then after that, the guide will be like, hey, thanks for coming. Hope you guys have a great night, blah, blah, blah. And then usually there's still about 2 or 3 hours left over, because the event goes till 2 a.m. every night, no matter what. And then that's when you can go either get food or go on and do more houses. So really, overall, the R.I.P. tour is I love the experience. I've done it 2 years in a row. Every time I've gone, that's what I've done. Again, because it's the only way I can fit in the whole experience in one night. If I lived locally, I would definitely not do it. I would just do Express Pass, because, again, I would be okay with waiting, but I would take my time throughout the HHN season and do more houses and do them multiple times. So that's really what the whole R.I.P. tour experience is overall, for the most part. Again, it's not cheap, and I'll keep mentioning that because it's not a cheap experience. But if you are doing it like I do it, where you go for like once, for the year and that's it, it is worth it. It is justifiable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have kept doing it. So it's really cool for that. But that's kind of the whole experience overall. Is again, you get zero wait times for the houses. You do it's only once per that. So if you wanted to go back through any houses after your tour is done, unless you have express pass, you are in a standby line again because you're at that point your lanyard is done for. You do get to keep the lanyards obviously, and they are cool for collectibles. But just keep in mind it's only once per house for that part for the no waits. So that is a really a deep dive into it for what the R.I.P. tour is. If anyone has any questions about anything as far as pricing or anything else that I missed out on, because again I kind of gave you a deep dive, but not a super deep dive on what it is, because that's really for the most part what they break down to. But again, if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below, and I'll answer them for sure. If you like them, if you dislike them, let me know as well. And if you have any thoughts on how they are, if you've ever done one, let me know as well in the comments. Just give me all your feedback for that. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.